Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Antonio Alanis, and today I want to share that I have a exciting piece of news. If you've been following the past few months or so, you probably know that I am writing my second children's picture book. And today it is July 19, and I'm excited to say and announce that in the next month, August 30th, 2026, my second children's picture book is coming out. And I wanted to take time to talk about the book and share a few exciting things about it. And today I want to just dive deeper into that. So, if you're new here, my name is Antonio Alanis, and I have been documenting as much as I can. I'm not going to lie, it's been quite a challenge to create at the same time and document as I go. But for the past year, I have been promoting my first children's picture book called Clarita Migrates North. And this book is an exciting book because it is the second book that I am writing and illustrating fully, just like the one that I did with Clarita Migrates North. And I just wanted to come out here and celebrate with all of you because I'm really excited about this book because it also touches on very tender feelings that I think are important for many of us to continue talking and sharing with our audiences and as we create and as we share with all of us and our circles. So wanted to share that this is an exciting piece of news coming up very soon. And you can see, if you're on the YouTube video format, you can see an illustration of one of the pages that I did for this book. And I'm going to reveal the name of the book in a few minutes, but I wanted to just contextualize and situate ourselves in this illustration because it is really the main character that is giving a lot of life to the book. And we see a little kid riding his bike with a very exciting scene that is not the beginning or the opening scene. It's something that happens in the first part of the book or the first half of the book. But I wanted to include something that was full of movement and would also share or have people be curious about the book that's coming up. So this is the first illustration, and it is the second children's picture book, the announcement that I am making. So if you're wondering, okay, Antonio, so what is this book about? I'm going to share that with you all today. I'm even going to reveal the name of the book as well. So before we get to do that, I want to talk about why is this book important. And this book is important because, as you know, I did do an episode in the past few months where I talked about the importance about talking about ourselves, talking about our differences, and the importance about loving our our communities and ourselves and in within our communities, but specifically when sometimes many of us may not find the chance to fit or may struggle to find where do we belong and how are we going to honor our differences and also feel that we can find a group of people as well. So I did share that before, and if you're interested, you can find that episode where I talk more about the interest about the book and how I was developing the book. And in that time, where I was going for is the initial setup or the foundation of the book, where I was working on the illustrations, working on the um, manuscript draft. But today, a few months have passed, and now I have the illustrations finished as well as the manuscript finished. What I did this morning, today being July 19, is I created the the setup for the editorial process where I'm going to essentially create the book. So I have the script finalized. I have the illustrations finalized. I'm still thinking about going back and doing minor edits, not on the illustrations or the text, but I do want to go back and create some modifications because the editorial process is a new, essentially, process for me. And sometimes I'm learning as I go as well. So I really want to make sure that I know what I'm doing and making time for myself so that I know what the book will look like. One thing that I learned last year when I was publishing my first children's picture book, I discovered that there were a few, not typos, but some formatting issues that even to this day in 2026, every time that I read this book and in children's, um, when people invite me to read to children, such as schools, summer camps, and places like that, it bothers me to see a lot of the formatting issues, like some awkward spaces or awkward placements, and it just very jarring to see. And I think that as a writer, I get to do a lot of things, including the reading and the writing, but also whenever I get to read it and revisit the piece, sometimes I wish I could have done things a little differently. But the book is already finished, the book is already done. And I want to make sure that this new book that I'm writing now in 2026, which I will reveal the name of it very soon, that a lot of the information that I want to share is very well presented, that there are no formatting issues, that there are no typos, which I already seen and read the manuscript multiple times. So I'm not afraid of typos and fine, I'm okay with making mistakes. But one thing I want to make sure and get right in this second try is I want to ensure that the formatting is there and that there are no awkward spaces or no awkward lines that are just going to be there. So that's where I'm right now. And I wanted to give you more of the technical behind the scenes that I normally don't get to share, but also get into the theme of the book and why is this theme important. As I was saying, the book is about our differences, what makes ourselves different, and how do we essentially love ourselves and help others love themselves when they are different and maybe they don't think that they belong. And this is what this book is really about. It's about making sure that we begin to share these important conversations with our children, with our younger selves, with our inner children as well, and now as adults. And I think it's important to talk about these conversations because many of the things that I want to share today are very near and dear to my heart. I will not get into details because I don't want to really just talk about my life openly out in the wild. I'll be happy to talk about some of these things more in private, more with people that I know and are closer to me. But I think that for the sake of archiving this, I think it's important to think about where are we coming from to write these stories and where do we come to talk about these things openly. I've talked a lot about how sometimes, growing up as a kid of an immigrant household, I struggled to speak the language. I struggled to speak English. I struggled to fit in. I struggled to do a lot of things like that that I think that those feelings are carried over into my work and I wanted to, bring some peace and talk a lot about the importance about how do we essentially conclude a chapter or continue to talk about these very universal themes, such as the ones that I have been exploring in my work. So, this is what this book is about. So, the book goes into the following description, and it goes like this. So, as Tony is the main character, and as a kid, he loved to paint stars. He did not like to paint superheroes or race cars or sports, just stars. So again, we began to think more about how are we thinking about what society thinks us what society thinks that we need to be painting, whether it's through gender roles, through expectations essentially as people, and I'll be happy to talk more about that later. But here we have a character. His name is Tony. The first time that I'm announcing it publicly, and Tony is a little boy. He is a young boy in elementary school, and everything he loves to do is to paint stars. He is an artist, and I am carrying that over from my personal life, from my professional life, into a character that I created. And we have an artist. If you remember, Clarita was another of the kids that I created in 2025. And Clarita did not really have a specific angle to her. I don't remember. I didn't really give her, like a personality of her hobbies or her personality of excuse me, of where she came from. Well, she did. I did say where she came from in her country of origin, but this book goes more to really the fears, the doubts, the just the uneasiness of being a kid and thinking about how do we fit in, how do we belong. And it's more like, I don't want to say the second part to Clarita, because Clarita and Tony are two different kids, but I think in the continuum of being an immigrant or an immigrant experience, we can talk a lot about how Clarita was mostly focused on the survival of migrating and making sure that she and her family knew where to get to, and that she was able to cross the desert, that she was able to swim through the river and eventually get home to her abuelita's house. But now we have Tony, who is a kid that has been established for many years. Tony is an immigrant kid, but I'm not going to focus on the immigration story in this book. It is more on the aspects of how do we talk about our immigration journey after we migrate to a new place. And this is what Tony is about. Tony is a book about our, how do we talk about ourselves? How do we self actualize? How do we pursue things that are important to us once our basic needs are met? How do we pursue our dreams? And I think that's a great and a big theme that I'm exploring right now, that my stories and my books are peeking at, while the character in Clarita and her family were making sure that they had food, shelter, and were accessing opportunities for living a life that elevated their standard of living. Now we have Tony who has that, but now it's really how do we make sure that Tony feels that he belongs in. So this is the book. This is the book for all of us to share. And so while everyone else played sports, Tony filled sketchbooks with galaxies, comets, and the night sky. And sometimes he wondered, will I ever find someone who loves art as much as I do? And so this is a book that is really, again, near and dear to my heart, because I wanted to talk about the importance about finding our group of people who really loved and like us for who we are, and not to think about societal expectations. As I was saying in the previous point, sometimes as men, as women, as non-binary beings, non-binary people as well, sometimes society tells us to do certain things because we're a certain age, or we are, encouraged to do a list, an unfinished list of things that we need to or we should be doing at certain ages, or exploring certain interests as well. So I wanted to be more of a rebel in this book as well, to really reject a lot of societal thoughts around who we should be and what we need to consider, what is correct. And again, it's a book about finding our voice, finding our confidence, finding our love for ourselves and our craft as well. So the thing about this book, Tony, that I have not revealed the name of the book yet, is that he heard a lot of people call him multiple things that bothered him. He heard things like he is too quiet, He is too weird. And the thing about Tony is that he's going to develop a sense of self confidence to not let those words and phrases bother him. And what he will create in this book is essentially magic. He will create things without letting strange phrases and discouraging words, and he will not allow those phrases and words from continuing to create. And he never stopped creating. So then, of course, I had to bring in a little bit of family member voices in this book. And this part is I think one of the most emotional parts of the book, um, because of the following words. So while Tony was thinking about whether I fit in, whether people want to welcome him into his friend group, or whether people will like him, his mom had something to tell him that really changed everything and changed the trajectory of where the story was going. And Tony's mom said, "We all come from stars." And I think this is an important conversation because, again, we have a family member who is encouraging him to not let other people's words or phrases hurt him or get to him. And he wanted to create with the rest of his classmates as well. But the thing is that he has a family member such as his mom telling him to really believe in himself and in becoming or thinking about his origin and the origin. So I don't want to tell you all the story of the book. I want to use this recording to invite you all to get a copy when it comes out. And again, I don't want to really give it all out because I think the magic of reading is to discover on your own. I can maybe talk about the book a little bit later and more of the themes once time passes, maybe a few months after August 30th, so that I can give you all some time to read it and make it your own and think about why does this book matter to you and also to build on from it as well. So little by little, Tony learned that sharing what made him different helped others, specifically other classmates and kids, feel safe enough to share the differences too. So again, going back into how do we create a powerful ending to the book? How do we talk about our differences as well? So again, this book is coming soon. The name of the book, drumroll, is called Tony Paints Stars, or Tony Pinta Estrellas, which is also translated to Spanish. And I'm excited because this is a bilingual picture book. It's a bilingual picture book and one that talks about creativity, talks about belonging, talks about confidence, and finding our voice and our people. So I'm excited because this book, if you remember, when I wrote Clarita Migrates North, I did this book in two ways. I did one in Spanish and one in English. And I did the translation about, I think, 2 or 3 months after I published the first one, which was the one in English. And I had a lot of people in the Spanish speaking Spanish speaking communities here in Durham asking me, when are you going to translate? I want to see that in Spanish. I Will you be able to share it in Spanish? And I told them that no, I was not going to at the moment because I had it all in English. So I had to really go back and reformat the whole book. And this time I want to make it in Spanish and English bilingually so that I can just make one book and I don't have to recreate it again in a few months later. So, again, the thing about writing and self publishing is that I get to do a lot of the learning myself and a lot of the work myself. So, I'm really learning as I go. And I really want to make as much of an impact right now so I don't have to do more work in the future. Of course, work will always be there, but if I can format the book in Spanish or English from this very moment, I don't have to go back and create the book. into two formats. And also, I don't have to really use two ISBN numbers or upload two book covers. I can just do those two things in one and call it a day, and maybe use that energy for more publishing, more writing, more illustrating, or also more sharing of the book. By the way, if you're local here in Durham in 2026 in the fall, I will have a lot of upcoming and exciting projects related to this book called Tony Paint Stars. And I want to invite you all to upcoming events that I'll be having. Some of them will be private, invitation only. If people go to, if people are already in schools, for example, teachers and students, they will invite me to read. But there will be other more public events where all of us, or all of you, if you're interested, can come out and support and be there and just experience the book. I don't know exactly what I'll be doing with this book when I present it, but I do want to say that the book will be available, and I'm planning to do a fun activity in the fall of 2026. So definitely, if you're in the area, come out and support, and let me know if you have any feedback on it once it comes out. So again, I wanted to let you know to save the date for August 30, 2026, which is a Sunday. So again, to almost conclude or to conclude, I want to tell you all that I cannot wait to share this story with all of you. So if you ever felt different, if you ever felt out of place, if you ever felt whether you belong wherever you are, I wrote this book for you. And the dedication, I worked in dedication these past few weeks as well. I wrote it about 2 weeks ago. And the dedication is essentially for all the art kids who felt different painting stars by themselves. And when I tell you, you probably know. Been following my work for the past few years. It's just so amazing and emotional to share my journey with all of you, and with myself as well. But being able to share these phrases, it just hit differently when I'm able to write them and really transmit what I'm thinking into the written page. And it's been very, really encouraging, very healing as well. And my journey as an artist, as a person, as a human, talking a lot about the things that really are impacting me, my community as well. And wanted to share this with all of you that this book could not have been possible without the experiences that I felt, that I lived, that I went through, that many of us have gone through and will continue to do so. So just wanted to again invite you all to be in touch with me for the past, not the past, but the upcoming months. Again, the book called Tony Paint Stars, or Tony Pinta Estrellas in Spanish, will be available on Sunday, August 30th, 2026. And it is my second children's picture book that is coming out in 2026. So, again, that is the conclusion of today. As usual, I want to just thank you all for coming out and listening to my work. I've seen many of you listen to my podcasts and watch my videos. I've seen many of you share many of the things that I create and that I record. And I really want to provide more of these recordings because I think that it's important to not only share the product, but also share the behind the scenes as much as I can, and share some of these phrases and some of these background information that I don't get to share when I write or when I illustrate and read my book. So I wanted to invite you all to continue to support my work by purchasing the upcoming children's picture book called Tony Paint Stars, or Tony Paint Estrellas, and add it to your cart. It will be available online, and I will also have some in-person copies as well. So if you're interested, definitely come out and get your copy. And additionally to that, you can also support my work by going to antoniolanisart.com/books. And you can order a copy of my first children's picture book called Clarita Migrates North. So again, when you purchase a book what you're allowing me to do is to continue to write more and share more of these stories that I think are important for all of us to continue to have to share. When you buy a book, you allow me to continue to tell you all about behind the scenes, but not only tell you all, but really make you part of this community that we're all creating and the dreams that all of us have together. So, again, definitely consider purchasing. If you cannot purchase for whatever reason, which I understand, times can be tough, specifically now in 2026, do consider sharing with your local librarian, sharing with your local mom, dad, family member group in your area. If you are a parent who wants your kid to learn Spanish or practice Spanish, if there's a group in your community, like an after school care group, I don't know, a group where students are educated at home, definitely consider sharing the book with them. Maybe make it your next book club reading. I know it's for kids, but do consider making it for your upcoming activity, whatever that activity may be. So, again, it's really been a pleasure sharing this behind the scenes with all of you. You can watch this video, which I will be sharing in my YouTube channel. As well, you can go to Antonio Lani's art and you can type that into YouTube and you'll be able to see it. Also, if you're interested, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can also listen to this episode on Spotify or many other listening platforms as well, where you all can listen to this too. So, again, thank you so much for all of you all for listening, for your support, for purchasing your copies, for sharing them wherever you are. And I really, really do wish that you will have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much, and hasta la próxima.